Imagine serving decades behind bars for a crime you didn't commit. It's become an almost familiar story. But as Erin Moriarty explains, innocence doesn't always mean freedom.
My job is to apologize.
Last May, something extraordinary happened in a Missouri courthouse.
It is important to recognize when the system has made wrongs. And what we did in this case was wrong.
Jean Peters Baker, the Jackson County prosecutor, issued a public apology to a man she believes was wrongfully convicted.
So to Mr. Strickland, I am profoundly sorry.
What's going through your mind?
Oh, today is going to be the day. And they're going to call me and tell me, pack your stuff up and going home.
Kevin Strickland, sentenced to life without parole in 1979 for a triple murder, has waited a lifetime to hear those words. How old was your daughter when you came in here?
About seven weeks old.
7 weeks old. So you've missed watching her grow up.
Every bit of it.
How old is she now?
She just turned 43.
But an apology, even from the prosecutor, is all he gets. Strickland is still in prison.
It's a great deal of pain in here of knowing what I done missed out on in my opportunities in life and, family. And I'm trying to pick my words because I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm hurt. I'm really hurt.
And shockingly, his situation is not unique in Missouri. What have you lost over the last 26 years?
Time. There's a closeness between, especially with a father and his daughters. And I missed that. I missed being able to be a part of their life.
For more than 2 decades, 47-year-old Lamar Johnson has insisted he was wrongfully convicted of the murder of Marcus Boyd in 1994. Did you kill Marcus Boyd?
I did not kill Marcus. He was like a friend of me. He was one of my best friends, and I loved him.
2 years ago, the top prosecutor for the city of St. Louis, Kim Gardner, agreed with him and filed a motion for Johnson's release based on what she called overwhelming evidence of innocence. Yet Johnson, too, remains behind bars.
We have a long-standing so-called innocence problem here in Missouri. It doesn't stop and start with Lamar Johnson and Kevin Strickland. It's decades old and administrations old.
Lindsay Runnels, Johnson's attorney, and Tricia Rojo Bushnell, Strickland's lawyer, point out that in both cases, the real killers pleaded guilty and have already served their time for the murders.
How unusual is it in these cases that you as defense attorneys are in complete agreement with the prosecutors that your clients are innocent?
In Missouri, it's absolutely unusual. I can't think of another instance in which we've experienced that.
And in most states, when the prosecutor and defense attorney are in agreement, the inmate is released. So what's going on in the state of Missouri?
I thought that when a prosecutor finds this overwhelming evidence of Lamar Johnson's innocence, that good people would react and do the right thing. But unfortunately, that was not done in this case.
These are the introduction of cases that we have to look at.
Gardner's office created a conviction integrity unit 5 years ago to investigate cases like Johnson's.
And what we uncovered was devastating, not only to myself, but to the criminal justice system.
Lamar Johnson was accused of being one of 2 men who shot Marcus Boyd on this porch. Both were wearing ski masks like this on a dark night. There was an eyewitness who initially told investigators that he couldn't see the faces of the shooters, but then he later identified Johnson as one of them.
I didn't believe it. He told me that I had been identified, and I just didn't believe it.
Is there any evidence, physical evidence, that ties you to the death of Marcus Boyd?
No physical evidence. There's not even a motive. At my trial, they did not even present a motive. They never explained why I supposedly did this.
In her June 2019 motion asking for Johnson's release, Gardner said that the only eyewitness who tied Johnson to the murder had recanted and admitted he had been pressured to lie by investigators. What's more, Gardner's office said it uncovered proof that the eyewitness had been paid thousands of dollars by detectives, a fact kept from Johnson's attorneys. Gardner concluded that much of the evidence presented at Johnson's 1995 trial was false and perjured.
This man lost 25 years of his life. We all lost. We have victims who lost. We let everyone down. And that's what it's about. It's about justice and trust in a system of fairness for all.
But the Attorney General of Missouri, Eric Schmidt, successfully fought the motion, arguing that because Johnson's verdict was final and he had run out of appeals, prosecutors like Gardner don't have the power to ask for his release.
It's not the merits that's ever challenged. It's the procedure that's challenged. They're too late, the Attorney General argues.
Lindsay, are you saying that a completely innocent human being could stay in prison because he or she missed a deadline?
Yes, and it happens frequently.
I do know that the Attorney General's office for a long time has had a practice of opposing every case regardless of its merit. They think that their duty is to defend every judgment, no matter the justice of it.
Sean O'Brien is a law professor at the University of Missouri, Kansas City.
Even with new evidence, it shows that the wrong person was convicted.
Even with new evidence.
Gardner appealed, but this past March, the Missouri Supreme Court ruled against her, stating that, quote, "This case is not about whether Johnson is innocent. This case presents only the issue of whether there's any authority to appeal. No such authority exists."
It was disappointing and devastating. We're talking about a life here. Somebody who's been in prison for 26 years.
They refused to acknowledge the truth, the real truth. I wasn't there.
As for Kevin Strickland, the Attorney General is fighting his release as well, and just this week filed a new brief insisting Strickland got a fair trial.
We have a system that cares so much about finality over fairness that we have an innocent person that we have known for decades is innocent and is still sitting there tonight.
Attorney General Schmidt declined our request for an interview. For now, both men say they are trapped in a baffling legal limbo.
Sounds like you've lost that hope that got you through this so far.
The problem is, I don't know what else to do. I mean, what else is needed? The only thing that I haven't been able to present is DNA. And God, I wish there was some DNA. I'm sorry.
Please do not apologize.
The Missouri governor, Mike Parson, has the power to pardon both men, but has so far declined to do so. And then there's this. State legislators just passed a law that will soon allow prosecutors like Kim Gardner to request a hearing for innocent inmates. But it's still no guarantee of freedom.
In every exoneration I've been involved in, I come away with the same impression. It was way too easy to convict and way harder than it should have been to correct that conviction.
If and when Johnson and Strickland are released, neither will receive any compensation.
Is there any way that the state of Missouri can make you whole?
Nothing they could do. If they gave me the state of Missouri and evicted everybody, that wouldn't make me whole. I need 43 years back.
I just want to be free, to have the ability to enjoy the small things.
What is the first thing you'd want to do?
Hug my mother. I'd like for her to know that truth finally prevailed and she doesn't have to know that I had to spend the rest of my life in prison for something I didn't do.